Ben Johns having a moment. It was all Johns brothers in control from the start. They had their foot on the gas pedal and did not let up.
Johns up for that challenge here early. That is such a huge part of why they win.
Oh! Ben Johns just makes you shake your head, doesn't he?
I mean, that is a ridiculous get.
Tall task against the best in the world.
Ben Johns survives the furious points of Pablo Tejas, the runs, the rallies, the goat. He is unflappable, isn't he?
So growing up, of course, Ben and Colin were 6 years apart. So Ben spent most of his life getting really beat up by Colin in the backyard, whatever sport it was that they were playing. And it was interesting to see that shift later in life when Ben took up pickleball first and Colin was still playing pro tennis. Ben got to be the mentor for some amount of time, and it was interesting to see Colin have to handle the pressure of being sort of the underdog or the one who still had to figure things out, which was previously more Ben's role growing up. But Ben took a real risk on him initially when he took him as his partner back in 2021, end of 2021, moving into 22. Ben said, there's no one I'd rather play with than my brother, so let's do this. I know you're not great yet, you've only been playing for about a year, but this could be magical if we find a way to work together as brothers, because that symmetry between family members, it can't really be replicated.
The training I did with Ben, it was mostly him beating the snot out of me in the beginning and him laughing about it because he heartily enjoyed that. He's 6 years younger than me, so growing up, he lost at every sport under the sun, and I was not the older brother that would really go easy on him. So he definitely enjoyed being able to dominate for a little while, but he also knew that he wanted to play doubles with me someday, so he was trying to train me up quickly. But the learning curve was steep, and he definitely put me through trial by fire at the same time, telling me a lot of the information that I needed to hear and say, all right, here's where tennis and pickleball part ways. And that was really important for me.
Ben has always been very diverse when it comes to what he's interested in. And he likes to go really deep on something and he gets obsessed and then he drops it and tries something else. He doesn't really stay with one thing very long. And he loves pickleball, and I think it'll always be some part of his life, but he also wants to start his own company as he already has, and even wants to do even more with that. He has a lot of hobbies and different things that he's trying to achieve in his life, and I don't think that's going to just be pickleball.
My upbringing, well, big family, a lot of different sports. So I played baseball, tennis, table tennis, golf growing up, and really any game or sport that I get my hands on. Tennis and table tennis definitely influenced my current background quite a bit. But yeah, my upbringing was just a lot of variety, a lot of outdoor stuff, a lot of games, a lot of sports, and I learned how to compete from a very young age because I competed against my older brother in just about everything. And I did a fair amount of losing and a very little bit of winning. Pickleball was kind of funny in that it crept up on me in terms of what it was to me. So I started playing in early 2016, and in that time there were a couple professional tournaments. I didn't have any plans with it. I just thought it was fun. I played the US Open for the heck of it, and I did pretty decently, and I thought I'd keep playing. But for the rest of 2016, I went back to Maryland. I played 2 more tournaments that year. It's not like I was super serious into it. I wasn't like addicted to it yet, I would say, other than I enjoyed playing. And I certainly did not see it as a career. And then the next year, 2017, is when I really played a lot more because it was my senior year in high school. I didn't have a lot of schoolwork things to do left. I wasn't playing tennis anymore. I wasn't playing other sports anymore. So I was like, I love playing pickleball. I'm going to play a lot of it. So I went back down to South Florida for the winter and the spring. I practiced a ton with some really good players. That was Simone, Kyle Yates, Ryan Sherry, just some good players. And that was the year that I won the U.S. Open singles. So that was really kind of my breakthrough in terms of like a result. But I still did not really consider it a serious sport. Like I knew I wanted to keep playing as much as I could because I enjoyed it a lot. But I didn't consider it a career until probably like early to mid 2019. So it was more just I love playing the game and I love competing, so why not do it?
Well, in the beginning, of course, Ben found the sport first. It was just one of those things he wanted to dabble in, and we thought it was just a phase. So we're like, yeah, all right, we'll buy you some paddles. I tried the sport when he first started playing, and I was a tennis player, and I thought that it was stupid. Like everyone else, I'm like, it's a plastic ball, it's a small court, whatever, I'm not really gonna be a part of this. But then I went overseas for quite a while, and I was following, of course, my family and my brother, and he became #1 over the course of that time. And so it really was kind of, I came back and pickleball was suddenly getting huge, and Ben was suddenly a minor celebrity of sorts in the sport. And I have a friend, Ryan Sherry, he introduced me to the owners of the PPA at the time, and they had only run one tournament up until then. And Ryan asked me to be the sideline reporter for his event, the Pickleball Underground event that he was running. And when I was there, I met Connor and the team, and that was when they asked me to come on board full time and work with them on the tour. And it was very little money at the time. I was like, I'm bored. I don't have a job. I just moved back from the Czech Republic. Let's give it a go. So I did it, and it's just crazy to me looking back now what I thought I was getting into and what it all looks like now. That we are going to have national TV coverage, that Ben gets recognized in the airport, in the grocery store. It's crazy.
A very nebulous, subjective term, because for a long time, just because of the amount of people in the sport, you could just enter the pro division willy-nilly, and that's what I did in my first tournament, 2016 U.S. Open. I mean, in what other sport can you enter the U.S. Open just by doing it, right? But I did in the singles division, so I guess technically you could call me turning pro as soon as I played my first tournament, and I did well in the pro division, so that would have been turning pro. But I didn't really consider it a professional sport, at least to me, until probably around 2018 or 2019 when Nationals went to Indian Wells. That was kind of a big step for pickleball. And there was a pro tour that tried and eventually failed in like 2017 or 2018. I think it was called the PPF. So it was trying to become a professional sport. And then really in 2020 with the advent of 2 pro tours in the same year, and especially with the PPA tour, that was when it really transferred into more of a professional sport in my mind, and kind of solidified itself. So you could say I turned pro anywhere from 2016 to like 2020, and 2020 would be just about everybody because it's an actual professional sport now. But yeah, the process was kind of just gradual. I just played tournaments, and I did well in them, and I competed against the best players, and that was about all there was to it.
My #1 reason and why I continue to play pickleball is the fact that I get to spend time on court with my little brother. We get along really well. He was my best friend growing up. I mean, I'm 6 years older than him, but he was always with me, hanging out with my friends, trying to keep up. We would play like endless games of wiffle ball in the backyard, ping pong, tennis, baseball, everything you can think of, we played together. So it's just really cool that we found a sport that we can compete in and play together, let alone actually be at the top of the sport. That's just a bonus, but it's just so much fun. And he and I now live together, 2-bedroom apartment here in Austin. So we get to train, we get to bounce ideas off each other, and it just makes it so much more fun when you have somebody like that supporting you, helping him train, he helps me with things, and we view it as as a team.
What's my opinion about my brother?
We close the door.
Oh, are you talking about the algorithm? Yeah, CJ, he's been a machine through pickleball, through tennis. So I saw him in his tennis career, and it was pretty impressive because he was just like borderline OCD, insane about practice, super disciplined, super hardworking. Like as far as a role model for how to do a sport professionally, he was it. Because with tennis, he just loved it so much, he would do anything. And that kind of carried into pickleball, both how we train together and how I want to train in pickleball, which is, disciplined, hardworking, trying to get better, practicing with a purpose, all that stuff. So he's really helpful in terms of how to take a sport professionally. And then living with him, I mean, we did that growing up. Obviously, we were roommates our whole lives growing up, and so that's really easy. It's natural. And then just training together, there's nothing better than that. It's the ideal practice. It's easy. It's fun. It's funny. So there's a lot to be said about that. So CJ, yeah, he's a unique character, but definitely one to admire.
Definitely, he's one of my favorite people, and I came from a big family, but he's my only brother. We have 5 sisters, so we're definitely really close, and we enjoy hanging out together as much on the court as off the court. And sure, certainly as brothers, you're gonna fight here and there, but I would say that's more the exception, and we get through any tough times that we have, and for the most part, it's just so much fun.
Ben Johns takes it.
Winner, and Johns wins
The number 1, Ben Johns, greatest of all time. Oh, and that is the angle you want to finish it on. Ben Johns adds another triple crown to his name. He has more titles and triple crowns than any other player.
Some days I'm not sure if he wants to be out there because it is definitely a heavy burden to try to usher a budding sport into the eyes of the whole world and to carry that weight on your shoulders. Everyone's always watching. Everyone always kind of wants you to fail. You definitely have your fans, but a lot of the time when you're on top, everyone wants to see you fall, to see you topple or mess up. People always want to create gossip about him as well. And if there's a scandal or anything that seems like it could be interesting or new about Ben's life, it's got to be just absolutely splattered across the pickleball world. And it's not easy to watch your brother go through that, and it's even harder to be the person in those shoes. And so there have been times definitely at tournaments where maybe there was something external at the event or in his life that was going on where, yeah, he probably didn't want to be out there. But kudos to him. He's continued to step out there on the court even when things off court may not have been going as smoothly as he would have liked.
Yeah, well, I mean, people say pressure's a privilege, and that's definitely true. If you're pressured to win and you're expected to win, that's obviously because you're in a privileged position, so I definitely value that. If people are gunning for you, then that's a good thing, right? If you're the target, that means you're in a good position, whether it's where other people want to be. So I definitely don't underestimate or undervalue that. And really, it's about trying to stay on top. I mean, people say you don't have upwards to go, and that's never exactly true. Sure, you might not have a literal number to go upwards, but you can always improve. You can always set goals, and just staying on top in of itself is a big goal. So it's a constant fight still, and that's really what it's more about, is the grinding, the fight. Yeah, complacency takes place in a couple ways. I mean, I'd say, first of all, you kind of get complacent with what works, right? You got to where you are by doing a certain thing. And in terms of the actual game, strategically and all that, it's like, why would you not just keep doing that? Because that's what got you there. But at the same time, all the best athletes I looked up to growing up, they didn't stop changing and getting better. Like, they kept doing stuff to stay where they are. That's really important. That's kind of what I focus on. So that's a form of not being complacent about that. And then just complacency of, I guess I got to where I needed to be. I don't need to work hard anymore, right? That's kind of a little bit of a mindset. Once the goal is achieved, just stop. But that goes back to a goal in of itself is staying on top. The longer you can do that, the better it is. And you have to fight for that. And that's it's fun. It's hard. And if you get complacent, it doesn't work out well. It's always that constant evolution of getting better and all that. And it's not just getting better in a single-minded, who practices the most, who's the best at practicing. It's like it's a lot of cerebral thinking of what needs to be added, what should you be working on, what can you take away from other players. There's stuff like that where a lot of pickleball for me has been adding new things. Basically, it's learning a new sport almost from the beginning.